Hi guys, it's Rachel with Rachel's Truth. I'm not in my car, so I have a few minutes to record while everyone has stepped out of the house. I got my nails fixed, thank God. So I wanted to touch base on Married at First Sight, Erik and Virginia. So it's been hard for me to really talk about Virginia. I do comment in certain groups about the topic of Virginia, but it's just something that frustrates me because I just can't figure out why she is on this show. So, the last episode, you see her and what's his name, Erik, talking about the dog, her dog. Her dog, I guess he feels that he's not as tamed as he would prefer, especially if he has to live in the same house as his dog, right? Which he has every right. So he wants to train the dog because he has trained his dog successfully and he wants to train the dog. Virginia is like getting all riled up because she's being offended because I mean sometimes he does come across as being controlling or whatever, but from what I see, it just seems like he's just being firm. He knows his boundaries, he knows, his deal breakers, and he stands firm on them. He doesn't waver. So that's what I see with him. So she is just all riled up, having an anxiety attack about the dog situation, when in all reality what he was saying is correct. Everything that he says is correct when it comes to a marriage, and what he wants in a marriage. He knows what he wants, and the things that he's talking about, they are correct. But if he was dealing with a marital minded person, then they would be receptive of what he's saying, but she's not receptive at all, which is why I don't understand why she's here. Everything that has to do with marriage, she's against. It doesn't make sense to her. She wants to be free. She wants to be single. And I don't know why she thought coming into this that it would just be, her marriage would be the way she wants it to be and not necessarily what her partner and herself agree upon. Which everything he's talking about is basically common sense in marriage, right? So he's saying that, this dog is ours. Like you keep saying, my dog, this is ours. And that's the thing. When you marry, you become one. So it's no longer yours and mine, it's ours. And he wants her to think in that mindset, but she can't grasp it because she's just too immature. She hasn't been able to witness a healthy marriage or a marriage that had this type of standards, or it wouldn't be so difficult for her to adapt to. And it doesn't look like she wants to. And I know she goes on to talk about how she has anxiety and that this process has, piqued her anxiety. And I can fully relate. My truth is I deal with anxiety as well, but I have come to terms with it majorly in through therapy and just different techniques to help with my anxiety and looking ahead and planning and organizing to reduce episodes of anxiety or even a panic attack. So with her, you can tell that whatever she's dealing with, it's not managed. So in my mind, it's like, why would you come on this show if you're saying that you were diagnosed or you realize you had anxiety within the last year and you've never been in a relationship with your anxiety? So you don't even know if you know how to deal with another human being in a committed relationship with your anxiety. My thing with that is, first, deal with your anxiety. Get on good terms with it where you understand it, you know what triggers you. Maybe you're on medications if that's the route you want to go, or you're seeking therapy and you're a good place and you're seeking a therapist that specializes in anxiety, because the last thing you want to do is to not have that in check and then add someone to your chaos And then now you're spiraling out of control and you're blaming the other person because you have anxiety. And it's not necessarily the other person, it's you. You have to deal with your anxiety and then you can bring another person in. But if you're trying to deal with your anxiety and a new marriage and, so much change, it's gonna give you anxiety. I mean, that's just like common sense. And at this point, I'm starting to think maybe she's treating her anxiety with alcohol. I already see that she got the dog to help her cope with her anxiety, but I'm also thinking, did she get like a medical diagnosis? Did she go see a doctor and they told her she had anxiety? Or did she Google some things online and she told herself that she has anxiety? So that's what I'm trying to figure out. And that's what I need to know, because that makes a whole lot of difference. Because is she using, okay, I have anxiety as an excuse for her not wanting to adapt to what he's saying, or now looking at him and telling him that he's controlling? No, he's a man that knows what he wants, who's established, has a career, successful, and now he wants to settle down, and he has a certain view of marriage, and she just doesn't have that. So that's, and I can see how the frustration can build up for him, because now you've been given this spouse who's not marital minded, who's immature, and who wants to fall asleep drunk on the opposite sex couch. To me, that does not make any sense. Like, we're adults. Our goal should not be to get blackout drunk where we're wasted and we're passing out on anyone's couch, let alone the opposite sex. And for her to even think that that is something normal to do is crazy. I can't even believe that she thinks that. Like, it's just beyond me, the things that come out of her mouth, the things she says. She has no understanding of anything. It's like she just doesn't want to, because as soon as he has something to say, there's a smart comment. And she even threatened him. She said she was going to punch him in his face if he said something again. Like, no, you don't. First of all, we barely know each other. You're not going to be threatening me, even if it's playful, but it wasn't playful. It was serious. She was frustrated. And that is unacceptable. You don't threaten someone. You just don't. You have to figure out how to deal with your anxiety. And this is not the way. Getting married to a stranger is not the way to deal with anxiety. I am sorry. I'm sorry. And I feel so bad for him. Oh my goodness, I feel so bad for him. Because the right person who's marital minded, mature, he did ask for someone who was independent, but independent including marital minded, mature, not a project. Virginia is a project, and it's not fair to him to have to deal with a project, because that's something I know, I feel like the show knew about. Like, that was one thing I was talking about last week. It's like these shows are targeting their traumas. It's like they're going into these counseling sessions, you think just to be matched, but it seems like they're listening to these different traumas. Oh, I have anxiety. Oh, I would never deal with a person who has this and who has that. And it's just like they're taking those traumas and they're matching them with spouses who actually go against what they don't want or what can trigger their traumas. And to me, it's not right, and it's detrimental, because it is going to affect them mentally for a very long time. And then you have the trolls on the internet and so many things. I know things are edited and so on and so forth, but everything Erik is saying, everything Virginia is saying, I'm taking it at face value, because the things that Virginia is showing is consistent. The things that Erik is saying is consistent. And they've been living in this fairy tale of thinking that they had the perfect marriage and they were just so drawn to each other and they're making out. No, you had lust. You had physical attraction. You guys were making out, having sex, and avoiding the real issues. And that is the problem, because the real issues aren't being addressed. And another thing, like, if she can't listen or pay attention or have a conversation about her dog, what is it going to look like when they decide to parent a child? That's my thing. You want to parent a child, and it's going to be so much conflict, because if you can't agree on something as far as a dog, how are you going to agree on a child? So those are the things you need to pay attention to even before getting into a marriage. Parenting styles. And that's the thing. And that would alarm me if I was Erik. Like, wait, hold up. You can't even, you're still stuck on mine and yours, and you're not adapting. You think everything I'm saying is foreign. I think they're gonna, I mean, there was a spoiler that they're gonna, stay together. But after the show airs, maybe some time goes by, I don't see them making it. I don't. She's a child, and he's a grown man, and that's the reality of the situation. Putting beliefs and politics and everything else aside, the basics of marriage, she just doesn't have it. She doesn't. She doesn't. And what he wants in a partner, she does not have. And if he decides to stay with her, he is basically settling, in my opinion. And it's just going to be toxic and dysfunctional, unfortunately. And at this point, it would just be like trauma bonding, because she has her traumas and he has his, with dealing with people always being cheated on and stuff like that. So with her, having a history of being promiscuous, and then saying that she's falling asleep on people's couches, and she's drinking like crazy, and then they were in the bar and she goes missing for half an hour. What husband would not be upset about that? And he needs to stop drinking with her. I know she's probably like, oh, drink with me. And then he'll drink with her, but he doesn't need to drink with her. She is going to bring him down. He has a career. He's a pilot. Like, she's going to bring him down. There's a certain standard. There's a certain integrity that he has. And dealing with her is going to bring him down. It really is. And I hope and pray that he basically figures it out and eventually, escapes the situation, because it does not look good. They would need like intense counseling. And Virginia would have to grow up in like 5 seconds. And I don't see that happening. So my truth concerning the situation, I can see, at the beginning of my marriage to my husband, it was very difficult as far as, co-parenting and stuff like that. So I can understand that. I can wholeheartedly understand that. And you have to come to, not even co-parenting, I'm sorry, just having a blended family. And you have to come to an understanding as far as if you're going to be involved or you're not going to be involved. How are we going to now raise our child? What are the agreements we're going to have? Because if you don't talk about those things, and, unfortunately, there was one thing that we didn't talk about. It just slipped our mind. But, at first it was just like, it was very stressful, dealing with the situation. Like, oh, wow, you don't believe. So you really, really, really have to talk about these things, because if Erik dated Virginia out in these streets, because she's for the streets, if Erik dated her out in these streets, he would not have. Did you see his ex-wife? She is beautiful. I mean, looks aside, I don't know what her personality is, and I guess she's one of the people that cheated, but like Virginia, she just, that alcohol is aging her. It's aging her. And I was talking about something on Facebook with someone, and they were talking about how they were talking about, oh, it's not that serious, da, da, da. And I commented, I bet her liver would beg to differ. And everybody got all riled up because I said that, like, oh, just because of that. Listen, there are so many cases of undiagnosed issues with livers, people walking around and don't even know. Most people don't know until it's very, very chronic. They don't have any symptoms, right? And it doesn't have to go all the way to full-blown cirrhosis of the liver. You could have a fatty liver. You could get hepatitis. Like, there's different things that can go on with the liver. And just because, and she's abusing it. She's very young and she's abusing it. And they say, oh, you can't diagnose her, you can't call her alcoholic. She's saying that she has to drink, what, Thursday to Sunday or something like that? And she doesn't drink just to feel nice a little bit. She drinks to get drunk. That is a problem. And she's damaging her liver and probably her kidneys. So you can see in her face, and you can see, you know, when she's not drinking, she's like all shaky and stuff, and she's only calm when she's drinking. There's a problem. So for someone to comment back and say, oh, so what you're saying is, so if we go by what you're saying, then there's like a third of the world has liver issues. They probably do. I wouldn't put it past anyone, because it's a known fact that it goes undiagnosed, you know? So either way, it's alcohol. And if you drink irresponsibly, you're damaging your liver. Period. Point blank. The end. So those are my thoughts on Virginia and Erik for the last episode that aired last Wednesday. I wanted to get that out. Yeah, those are my thoughts. It's complicated, and I feel bad for Erik. And I will be praying for Virginia. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. I want you guys to subscribe if you're not subscribed. Like the video. Comment below. And share. Share this video on your social media. If you know anyone who's a fan of Married at First Sight, post it on your social media and tag them. All right? All right. Thanks, guys. I'll talk to you soon.